When a woman is hypergamous, or I should say a young woman. I mean, all women are hypergamous, right? This is female nature. And anybody listening to any red pill content, anybody listening to my channel, anybody listening to anything that has to do with MGTOW or red pill, whatever, everybody should know that women are hypergamous, right? Now, again, you could argue, and many people have argued and said, well, everybody's hypergamous. Nobody wants to, date a bum, or nobody wants to date somebody who's a loser and all these things. I don't think so. I don't think that's, first of all, again, I touch on this all the time. Whenever you share a red pill truth about a woman, women will come out of the woodwork and say, well, men do it too. Men are that same way. And this is just without fail. Because what are they always trying to do? And this is a big tactic that women use, is they try to make things equal. Because if things are equal, then they don't have to have agency for their behavior. If things are equal, then they can just always use that caveat excuse of, well, men do it too, and point the finger, right? So when they say, oh, well, men are hypergamous too, not in the same way. And here's why. Because if a woman says, I don't want to date a bum, what she's really saying is, I want a guy with money. I want a guy who can take me out to dinner and pay for it. I want a guy who's got a nice car that I don't feel weird about driving in. It's a nice car and I feel good about driving. She wants to feel good. What are all these Disney movies marketed to? They're marketed to young girls. Why did Cinderella show up to the ball in a white carriage, white horse carriage, a beautiful carriage, right? Because this is female nature. This is how they want to feel. Why are guys into really nice cars? I think really nice cars are beautiful and they're cool, but when you really break down the psychology of it, why are guys into nice cars? Because it's going to make you look cooler. Why? Or I should say, to whom? To women, right? If you pull up in a nice Aston Martin or a Ferrari or whatever, you're the guy that gets pussy. Like, you're the guy that's going to get some pussy, because this is what women, a car, just like a Rolex, is a sign of success. They call them social mores, or signals, like social. I forget the word for it, but there's a term for it where basically these are symbols of success, right? Oh, you got a nice Rolex. It's a $2,500 watch. That's a symbol of success. Oh, you got a Ferrari that cost you $400,000. That's a symbol of success. I don't know how much Ferraris cost. I'm not into cars that way. Although I like cars. I like cool old cars, like restoring cool old cars. But but if I was to choose, if someone were to come up to me and say, hey, what car would you use to get pussy? I'd say, well, I'd drive like a Ferrari, or I'd drive like a Corvette or something, right? I don't particularly like those kind of cars. I would drive them to get pussy, though. If I had my choice of a car that I would like to drive, it would be like a 1956 Chevy Bel Air or something. I'd like to restore an old car because I think that's cool, but not in the same way that I think a Ferrari's cool. I think a Ferrari's cool, but I think a Ferrari's cool in the sense that if I drive that car, I'm going to get some pussy. That's how I think of it, right? These are things that men do. Status symbols of success, right? It's not the same thing for men, right? What's my point in saying that? My point in saying that it's not the same thing for men. So if people say, oh, well, men are hypergamous too, men don't want to date a bum too, it's not the same thing as if, how a woman doesn't want to date a bum, right? Because we don't care what car you drive. We just don't give a shit. And we don't care what kind of watch you have on. We don't give a shit. Men do not care in that type of way. Right? We don't care. We don't care that you drive a cool Jeep or a G-Wagon or whatever. We just don't care. But women care, right? So it's not the same thing, first of all. So again, bottom line, hypergamy is female nature, and it's not the same as male hypergamy. Now, what is male hypergamy? Or what is the equivalent of female hypergamy to a male, right? Okay, well, don't stink, be in decent shape, clean yourself, the basics. This is all men care about. We care about the basics. Like, don't be a bitch, don't be rude, don't be mean. Like, these are all basic things that men will, we absolutely have to pass those, right? And actually, the irony is, if a man pulls up in a Ferrari and he's got a Rolex on, he can be an asshole, and women will want him more. The irony is, when men are assholes, women want us more. But if a woman's an asshole, we want her less. Right? But women are assholes, and they can afford to be assholes, and they can get away with being assholes because they have looks, and guys want to have sex with them, right? So this is bottom line, essential, basic hypocrisy, by women, right? So, okay, on the one hand, you say, oh, everybody's equal, we're all equal, men and women are equal, which is the big lie of feminism, right? But yet when you say, well, who's going to pay for dinner? Women will say, oh, well, the man should. Why? Because it's tradition, or because you want to make sure that the guy will be able to take care of you financially, right? It's a sign that he is, going to simp. It's a sign that he's going to put out finances and resources in order to win the woman over. And this is female nature. I wouldn't even say it's tradition. I would say it's female nature. Why is it a tradition? Because female nature dictates it so, right? At some point, the woman chose the guy who had the money. At some point, the guy with the money said, I've got this because I'm the man. And it's a sign, to us in the red pill community, paying for dinner is a simp sign, unless she's having sex with you. Then it may be, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm paying for dinner because, it makes me feel better or something like that. I don't know. But if you're paying for dinner and she's not even sleeping with you, it's like, what's the point? But then there's all kinds of different ways to break that down. Are you paying for dinner so she will sleep with you? Is she sleeping with you because you did pay for dinner? Those are valid questions, right? So, and then guys will pay for dinner and be like, well, I'm doing this because that's what a man should do, and it makes them feel more manly. It makes them feel like they're in control, which, if you really break it down, that's what a lot of relationships are based on. It's that the man is paying for things so that he can be like, I'm the man, this is my duty, right? And women will ultimately, eventually choose that type of guy. They will opt for that type of guy. They want the type of guy who will pay for dinner. They want the type of guy who will take care of things, because ultimately female nature wants men that do that. Even though they talk all this big shit about equality and men and women are the same, blah, 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 when it really comes down to it, they want the guy to pay for dinner, right? And this is why I say, when I started this video out, this is why I say women want a daddy, right? They will always fail safe and go with the daddy figure, because this is their nature. And when I mean daddy figure, I mean a man who is going to pay for things, a man who is going to take care of things. Now, what mixes it all up and what got everything confused was the whole feminist lie. We're like, oh, we go Dutch, we go 50-50, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if you really listen to what women want, they don't want that. They want the man to take care of things. They want the man to have his stuff together. They want the man to have a nice car. They want the man to have a nice house. They want the man to have a career and a nice income. This is what women really want. So when I say women really want a daddy, what I mean by daddy is the provider. This is what women really want. They can talk all this big crap about they want equality, blah, 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 and they will, they will chase the bad boy. They will chase the guy who doesn't give a crap about paying for dinner, and they will pay for dinner. Women will pay for dinner. I've had many women pay for dinner for me, buy things for me, pay out for me, because I was in a bad boy phase for about a good 5 years of my life, and I was in that phase, and I was very successful with women in that phase, right? When you're a bad boy, when you walk around like you're the shit, and you figure out how to play that bad boy role and have that bad boy vibe, they will, subconsciously or unconsciously, whatever you want to call it, they will try to please you. They will chase you, okay? But if you try a different tactic and you put them on the pedestal and you're trying to impress them, either A, they will no longer be interested in you, or B, they will put you in that provider daddy role, in a sense that, okay, well, now he's putting me on the pedestal, and they do want that. Women want both. Women are very dualistic, or they're very bipolar, whatever word you want to use. They're not just one way. They're all kinds of different ways. This is why everyone's always like, oh, it's so hard to please a woman, because they are very hard to please, because they've got all kinds of different attraction triggers, right? Yes, they want the bad boy on the one hand. They want the rogue, guy who doesn't give a crap. He's out there slaying pussies out at the bars. They want that guy because he's high value, because he can get that pussy, because he's bad boy, he's attractive, whatever. The way he dresses, he doesn't give a shit, right? They love that on the one hand, but they don't want that guy for long term. They want that guy for short term. And then, they'll try to turn him into a nice guy, and it really never works. And then they always end up, breaking up and then acting like they got hurt but they'll break up with him because once he changes, they don't want him anymore, because he's not. The thing about the bad boy is not the daddy guy. He's not the provider, because that's just not who he is. It's not who he's the bad boy because he's not that guy. He's the bad boy because he doesn't want to be that guy. He's the bad boy because his life is damaged, or he's damaged, or he doesn't want to have a career. He wants to be a rogue, mechanic, bad boy, or a drug dealer, or whatever the hell, right? He works on motorcycles or whatever the bullshit, that he does for his little bit of money. And they don't care that he doesn't make that money, because he's the bad boy. So he plays that role. And then on the other hand, they want the docile, steady, domesticated, predictable, safe provider. Right? These are the two roles that women want. It's one or the other. If you're somewhere in between, if you're too vanilla, if you don't quite make the money to be the nice guy, or you're not quite bad boy enough, then they don't. You're bland. They don't want you. Right? You're too. You're not one way or the other. Right? And they don't want you. So. But eventually they will settle for the nice guy. And this is what I'm saying. They want the daddy. Eventually they want that daddy. Eventually they want the daddy figure. But the daddy figure has to be a provider. If he's not a provider, they don't want him. Because what do women want? What does female nature want? It wants security, right? This is female nature. Men want security, but it's not in the same way, right? Women want security from a man. Women want men to provide them with security. If a man wants a woman to provide her with security, that's one of the biggest turnoffs there is. You just can't. It doesn't work. If a man doesn't want to work and he wants to be a stay-at-home dad, that's a huge turnoff. Women don't want that at all, right? They don't. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It does, but that's not something that gets women wet at all. Like, women don't want to play them. This is the lie of feminism, that, you can do everything a man can do. You can be the man. You can be just like a man, except when it comes to providing for a man. A woman shouldn't provide for a man. See, this is why feminism is so full of crap, is that it goes so far as to say, a woman can be just like a man, blah, blah, blah. But then when you say, okay, well, if you're just like a man, take care of me. I'll stay at home and raise the kids. I'll be a stay-at-home dad, and you go pay the rent. They don't want that, right? Because this is why feminism is a lie, because that's not how female nature is set up. So really all feminism is just a convenient way of saying, we're equal so that they can get high-paying jobs just like men, and affirmative action can come in, which is bullshit. I always talk bad about affirmative action, right? And then at the end of the day, what does female nature want? It wants a daddy. It wants that docile, domesticated provider, right? So feminism only goes so far as, I want all the benefits, I want all the perks, but none of the drawbacks, right? Because what is a drawback? A drawback is being responsible for a family. A man has to be responsible for the family. He's expected to be his validity and his legitimacy as a man, and his respect and his honor and his worth and value as a man is all wrapped up in his ability to provide for a family. And this is what it is traditionally. However, even in addition to traditionally, this is what it is in female nature. Most women, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it does happen, but I would venture to say 95% of women are not going to go work a career while a man stays at home and raises kids. It's just not going to happen. It's not in their nature. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. There are some very egalitarian, very objective women who just, for some reason, they just are able to do it, and I've seen it. Yes, there are some stay-at-home dads out there. I've seen it. It's not impossible, but it's very rare. It's not common. Men are expected to work. This is a social norm. This is what women want. Okay, so again, if when we're talking about hypergamy, if anybody ever says, "Oh, well, men are hypergamous too," no, we're not. We're not in the same way that women are hypergamous. Yes, we want you to wash your ass. Yes, we want you to exercise. Yes, we want you to, have good hygiene, don't have bad breath, like not be a bitch. Like that's about it. That's about the extent of our hypergamy. Yes, we like attractive women. That's about the extent of our hypergamy. We want a physically attractive woman. That's it. Yet a woman not only does she want a physically attractive man who has good hygiene, who dresses himself well, he needs to have money. He needs to be the provider. He needs to, he needs to bring home the bacon. He needs to have that traditional masculine. And I don't care what women say about feminism, and feminism says this, and the definition of feminism is that, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't care about what you say. I care about what you do. Women care about what a man makes. Women care about how much money a man makes. Women care about that. It matters, and they will ditch you. They will throw you to the side if you are not up to snuff. They will discard you, okay? 100%. This is female nature. So anybody who's red-pilled has to understand that. Anybody who wants to learn more about the red pill, you have to understand that about female nature. It's not the same as male nature, and it never was. Okay, it never was. And so this whole feminist crap is a lie. It's just a lie. It really is. Men and women are not equal. We are different in function. We are different in biology. We are different in essence. Okay, men and women are not equal in really any way. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's that we're different. That's the truth. If feminism were honest, it wouldn't say that men and women are equal. It would say that men and women are different. Now, can men and women be equal in a workplace? Can they do an equal job or equal things? Yes, objectively, men and women can do equal things. However, again, in our nature, in our biology, in our essence, in the way our mind works, in our motivations, in our emotions, in the things that we seek after, our goals, things, men and women are not really the same at all. We're just not. We have very different goals, right? Very different motivations, very different things. If that were the case, there would be no problems between men and women. There would be no red pill. There would be no MGTOW, because men and women would get along and we would all love each other and everything would be great. But there's all kinds of problems because, again, female nature is hypergamous. Female nature wants the best guy. She wants that bad boy, that excites her, titillates her. He's strong and he's independent, all these things that attract her. Like, I don't care if you're strong and independent. That doesn't make you more attractive to me. I don't care if you're a bad girl. That doesn't make you more attractive to me. I mean, maybe like sexually, like, sure. I mean, like if she's a bad girl, like, I guess because that just means like, okay, she's gonna suck my dick on the first date, or she's gonna, we're gonna have sex very easily. Like, that's the only thing that would attract me about it. Like, but I like nice girls too. It's like, it has nothing to do with it. It's not the same thing. If a woman wants a bad boy, it means that she likes his independence, because it means that he's strong and he plays by his own rules and he's a rogue and he can survive. It basically comes down to survival instinct. It means that he can survive without having friends or without having, these trappings of society, or he can survive and still be cool and attractive outside of social norms. And there's something about that is really it turns women on. For a short term, and they want to have sex with that guy, and they do have sex with that guy, and it's all great for a while, until I want him to be acceptable to my parents, until I want my friends to accept him, until I want I want to settle down and have kids, and I want somebody to love me in a providership way. He's not going to fulfill those roles, and then she's going to break up with him and then act like, I'm tired of these guys and all this crap that women say after they break up with a guy, or I was the victim somehow, and all this bullshit, when in reality, you chased a bad boy, right? And so then at that point they turn around and then they look for the nice guy. So it's not the same thing. Like, whether she's nice or whether she's a bad girl, like, it doesn't matter to me, because I look at a woman and from a different viewpoint. I look at a woman as if, okay, well, is she going to choose me? And this is how men look at women. It's not about whether she's nice or because we don't have the luxury of choice. Women are the ones who choose. We don't have the luxury of choice to say, I want this girl. Yes, in a sense we can choose, but a lot of times most men are like in a scarcity mindset, so we just take what we can get, and hopefully she's not a horrible woman, right? Because we're not, women aren't beating down our door. If you ever want to have an experiment, and I did this once, I created a dating profile as a woman, as an attractive woman, and I had like 50 messages within a week, and I was just like, I never got any messages as a man. It's just not the same thing, right? So any woman telling you, oh, it's all equal, it's all the same, she's full of shit. She's lying. She doesn't, or she's just warped. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She has, her cognitive dissonance is way off track. She doesn't know what reality is for men, and men and women don't. Men and women don't know what men go through, and it really is because a lot of it is because they don't care. They don't care what a lot of things we go through. They really don't. They don't care that we're in scarcity mindset as opposed to an abundance mindset. They don't care that it's hard for us to find dates. They don't care that nobody loves us. They don't care that we don't get attention. They don't care that nobody ever calls us attractive in our life, and yet they get called attractive all week long. They don't care. They really don't care because they're solipsistic. They can't see outside of their own wants and desires and dreams and goals, and they just can't see outside of that. They lack empathy, and it varies by women. Some women are a lot more narcissistic. Some women lack empathy, like insanely lack empathy, like they're to the point where you would think they're cruel. It's not that they're cruel, they just don't care. They have no empathy whatsoever. Some women have some empathy, and a huge lie. One of the biggest lies ever, I think I'm going to do a video on this, one of the biggest lies ever is that women are the fairer sex, that women care more. Women are more empathetic than men. That's not at all true. Not at all true. Women do not care, at least insofar as it comes to men. They don't care about men. They might care about dogs. They might care about whales, save the whales. They might care about the environment, save the trees, whatever. They might care about, going vegan. They might care about, things like that. But they don't give a shit about men. They don't care about, the male gender. They don't care about men that they discard or reject, or they just don't care. They really don't care. It's not in their nature to care. Most of them. Some do, sort of, some do, but most don't, right? Most just really don't care. And some of them are somewhat jaded, some of them might think like, oh, well, all men want is sex, so I don't care what they think about it, or I don't care what they go through anyways. Some men are, men are just jerks, and so they and maybe they've been warped by feminist lies. Maybe they've had some bad experiences, but for the most part, they just really don't care. Like they just don't. They care about their own things, and that's about it. They don't care. That's another big lie about feminism is that, oh, well, feminists care about men too. No, they don't. No, they don't. Not at all. They, in fact, don't like men. Men are the enemy for feminists. So this whole lie that, oh, well, because feminism is about equality, feminists care about men too. It's not. It's just not reality. Not reality. So again, at the end of the day, she's looking for that daddy figure. She's looking for the guy to fill that role eventually. She wants the bad boy when she's young. He excites her. But then when she has a kid, or once it's time to settle down, when she wants kids, she can't stick with the bad boy. And she might try to, she'll try to convert him to a nice guy, but it barely ever works. It's usually because the things that she's initially attracted to him, once he starts changing, she won't continue to be attracted to him after that. All right, so I think I'm going to end it there. Appreciate you guys listening. It's been Jay Lee with Northwest Podcast. Peace.